Greater Sandton and beyond. Get ready for the Sandton Times Hour
with your host,
Alexander.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between and beyond, welcome to the Sandton Times Hour. It's edition 226. It's week 51 of 2025. I'm Alexander Leipman. A very special welcome to you. If you're catching us for the first time and the last time for 2025, or if you're a regular listener and you're rounding off your year with us in Johannesburg or Pretoria, across South Africa or anywhere else in the world, if it's online or on air, I'm happy to report that all is well in Sandton land. And Vincenzo behind the mixing desk one last time for this year. And thanks for the panettone, Vincenzo. It's very cute. Has a little Christmas something. I think I'm going to keep this for my morning coffee. Nothing like a bit of panettone and some cappuccino for breakfast. One last look at the 2025 diary for this past week, and what did we get up to? Well, Always Mall had the opening of Santaland Jingle Bell Academy, a fabulous space for the kids and for the parents to explore and do all those festive Christmassy things. Then Schweppes revealed its new range of drinks, and as they call it, Dash. So Dash is what you put into your alcoholic beverage. Drinks are essentially just drinks that you can have without any alcohol. They've got some great new pomegranate, pineapple, and tangerine, which I'm convinced tastes a little bit like Super C. But make up your own mind. Go try it out. Let me know what you think. Then the Four Seasons Hotel, the Westcliff, Johannesburg. Well, they opened their new lobby lounge. They had a nice soiree with some beautiful canapes and some wonderful music and entertainment. And they've now completed their extensive renovations, and they've got a beautiful new lounge to welcome guests at the Four Seasons. Then the Mzansi Philharmonic Orchestra, they kicked off their Voices of Home tour at the Linda Auditorium, and some of you might remember my interview from last week with the conductor, and another fabulous evening of classical music. And the Nelson Mandela Square opened its Celebrations on the Square, which you must go and experience. It's on for a few days, and you can go check that out, and it's just a very bougie Christmas experience. I hope you've had a great long weekend across South Africa. 16 December, South Africa's National Day of Reconciliation. You're still taking it easy over the festive days ahead. We've got a pretty relaxed show this week, and I hope you're kicking back with me over the next hour for what is the final show of this year. What have we got on the menu? What's on the itinerary for the next hour? In a bit, I'll be sharing a chat I had with an airline that has opened up a new route to the land down under this past week. All the details in a bit. Then after last week's Radio Awards victory, I have one more thing to share with you. Stay listening for those details. As always, I then catch up with our regular entertainment commentator for our final roundup of festive entertainment, Christmas movies, and a look at what's to come in 2026. And finally, I wrap up the year and the show with a look back at the year that was for the Sandton Times Hour. It's going to be another fabulous hour in your company, and I would like to hear from you. So if you want to get in touch, you can send through your questions, comments, or feedback on email, editor@sandtontimes.co.za. Connect on social media @Sandton Times, or hop onto the website sandtontimes.co.za. Or save the exclusive WhatsApp line, 084 Sandton, 084 726 3866. And if you're not part of our podcast community, be sure to subscribe to the Sandton Times Hour on your preferred digital platforms. There's Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, and Podcast Party, and so many more. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Follow the Sandton Times on social media
@Sandton Times.
So if you've ever dreamed of getting to Australia faster, whether it's to visit family, chase new business opportunities, or finally spot a kangaroo in the wild, Qantas has just made that journey a whole lot easier. And the airline has officially launched its long-awaited direct services between Johannesburg and Perth, cutting travel time to under 10 hours and making a major milestone in connectivity between South Africa and Western Australia. I joined some select media for a brekkie at the Saxon Pavilion here in Sandton. With strong demand alongside Qantas's existing Johannesburg-Sydney route, this new service is set to strengthen family ties, tourism, business links, and yes, the friendly rugby rivalry between the two nations. Powered by the Airbus A330 and operating 3 times a week, the Perth flight brings nearly 80,000 additional seats into Western Australia each year and offers seamless onward travel to cities like Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, and even Auckland in New Zealand. It's also a meaningful moment for nearly 45,000 South Africans who now call Western Australia home. I spoke to Darsh Chapman, the new regional general manager for Qantas overseeing the UK, Europe, Middle East and Africa, and I asked her about the history of Qantas and South Africa.
So majority of the services that we've had between Australia and South Africa have been between Johannesburg and Sydney. We've had a very long relationship with South Africa. I think we started services 52 years ago. And at times we've had other services that, during peak periods, etc. But the predominant has been Sydney to Johannesburg, vice versa.
And in terms of the movement between the two countries, I know we've got a lot of South Africans who are obviously moving to Australia, visiting family in Australia. What's that looking like the other way around in terms of Australians visiting South Africa?
So we see demand from both sides. So we have, I think the numbers are about 250,000 South Africans actually live in Australia. In Perth alone, there's 45,000 South Africans live in Perth. I'm not sure what the numbers are of how many Australians actually live in South Africa, but what we do see is really high demand on both sides of the route between South Africa and Australia. The demand comes from both tourism and also business.
Now, obviously, the attraction is that it's a direct flight, which I think most people will grab in a heartbeat. But what else do you think Qantas adds to the experience or to the mix in terms of travelling to Australia that maybe a stopover or double stopover to Australia doesn't?
I think what our customers are telling us is that they want to have choice. And giving them a choice for having 2 gateways into Australia is definitely very popular. The other is that the direct services is what customers value. And so we really pride ourselves in being able to provide those direct services into Australia and providing choice.
You've been a very innovative airline, I think, since day one. I mean, there's innovations and technologies that you've brought to the aviation industry that a lot of people don't even know about that started at Qantas. What are some of the new things that you've got in the pipeline that you're planning to bring into the space over the next couple of years?
So starting this direct service into Perth is only just part of our long-term plan. We're undergoing a huge fleet program at the moment, and we're also introducing a new service which I'm very excited about, which is direct services between the east coast of Australia and London and the east coast of Australia and New York. And that is what we call Project Sunrise. And so we're really looking forward to the innovation that Project Sunrise actually brings to aviation. But we're also looking forward to what direct services between the east coast of Australia and London and New York actually brings to the customer and the consumer.
As a country that is freestanding, long distance, an airline is a critical bridge, not just for economics and tourism, but basically just connecting you to the world.
Yeah. We connect people with people, and whether it's for business, whether it's for politics, whether it's for customers visiting their family and friends, it is important for us to be able to connect. We're a long way away. We are an ultra long haul destination, and so the innovation and the investment that we put into our product and our service is to really support that.
Why was this additional link between South Africa and Australia necessary? Why was this your next choice in terms of opening up a routing?
So WA, or Western Australia, is actually, from a strategic perspective, is our new gateway to the world. And Western Australia and Perth in particular is playing that role for Qantas. We have invested a lot in our East Coast gateway to the rest of the world, but we see that there's a huge opportunity out of Perth. And I think connecting South Africans to Perth and being able to offer other connections outside of Australia is a real opportunity for us as an organisation, and also, connecting people with people.
And then I need you to bust one myth for me.
Yeah.
Do people really confuse Austria and Australia, and do you ever have people arriving in Sydney expecting to visit Vienna?
I can't say that I've experienced that, but maybe.
Well, that was Darsh Chapman, the new regional general manager for Qantas, overseeing the UK, Europe, Middle East and Africa. And if you think that last question was totally ridiculous, well, here's a clip from Canadian local news channel City News.
And finally, I hear you've got some pro travel tips for anyone thinking about flying to Australia.
Well, yeah, make sure you double check exactly what you're putting into the airline website when you do, because get this is true. In Salzburg, Austria, the airport in Salzburg, Austria has a dedicated desk for travelers who land there thinking they were going to Australia. Yes, people confusing Austria with Australia happens apparently more than you think. Travel agents are checking in with other such mistakes the travelers make a lot. They include Sydney, Nova Scotia, and Sydney, Australia. Budapest and Bucharest get confused all the time, apparently, as do Slovenia and Slovakia. Ontario, California, and Ontario, Canada get mixed up, and a lot of travelers apparently intend to go to San Jose, California, but often end up in San Jose, Costa Rica. Always worth double-checking the flights.
And let me add Paris and Paris. So if your husband has promised you a trip to Paris, make sure it's the one in France and not the one in the Free State. Shout out to Taryn and Mark in Oz. I promised I would give them a shout out, talking about Qantas.
Connect with the Sandton Times. Email editor@sandtontimes.co.za.
Vincenzo, do you know what this is? Well, in my hands, I have the very first copy of the Sandton Times Hour print edition. Yes, you heard that correctly. Over a decade of being digital, and now, of course, the weekly Sandton Times Hour radio show and podcast welcomes a new cousin, sister, brother, however you want to call it, to the fold, and it is the Sandton Times print edition, and I'm super excited to share this with you. The feedback so far has been really, really great. It's an 8 to 12 page leisure and lifestyle read, from entertainment to motoring, dining, travel, shopping, Sandton news, and so much more. And we've finally done our first test run to get the ball rolling into 2026. And the plan is to bring this out on a fortnightly basis and distribute this across northern Johannesburg through some very innovative and unique distribution channels, and I'll talk you through that in the new year. But if you've managed to pick up a copy, take a photo, take a selfie, post it online, tag the Sandton Times. It'd be good to see where you've read it, what your thoughts are, and it'd be great to see if you're enjoying the read. And there's some really interesting content. For this edition, we've brought out a roundup of all that's happened in the Sandton Times world in 2025. There's a page dedicated to entertainment over December, from theatre to movies to social things to do with the kids. Then there's a great page on some local Sandton stories, places to eat, some charity work that's being done. There's a motoring section with the latest release from Ford. We've got a nice gifting section for the December period as well. Then there's some nice sort of travel reading, everything from Dubai to some of the trends that we're expecting for 2026. And then there's the back page where you can also win a copy of Zapiro's annual What Else Could Go Wrong? So keep your eyes out for the Sandton Times Hour print edition. And really, why go into print? I know so many people ask that. The hyper-localized news, leisure and lifestyle space is certainly where it's growing globally in terms of print. I think people like to know what's happening in their communities, what's happening down the road, what they can do, how they can spend their free time. And the great thing about this print edition is it's a really high-quality print edition. It's a hybrid between a magazine quality and a newspaper format. It's complimentary, so it's absolutely free. And I think there's going to be a time, maybe in the not too distant future, where I think people are going to enjoy a noise-free experience, where you can just pick up something, sit back, read it, and not have to go through comments, deal with everyone's thoughts and feelings about a matter. I think there's so much digital fatigue that's happening right now that I think we're going to get to a point where a group of people that I know would love to just switch off for half an hour, maybe an hour, take a bit of a break, and just read something from back to front and make up their own minds about it. And it's an easy read. It's a relaxed read. So that's the lowdown on the Sandton Times print edition. And because you're locked into the show, I wanted you to be one of the first to know. And there's certainly more to come in 2026.
You're listening to the Sandton Times Hour.
Another thing that happened this past week is that Growth Point cut the ribbon on a new pedestrian bridge known as the Sandton Drive Link Bridge, connecting Sandton City and the place on one Sandton Drive, making it easier for those from the offices to get across Sandton Drive and vice versa. And if you've ever needed to get to the US Embassy, you know the risk of running across the road, putting your life at risk, dodging cars as you cross the road. And now you can actually use this bridge, which connects the Sandton City on the one side, there were the Woolworths Clicks entrances, with the other side of Sandton Drive, and you can kind of get there safely. It's another private sector funded initiative. It's taken, hold on to your seats, 18 years and 26 million rand to build this pedestrian bridge. I'm not sure how many Johannesburg mayors ago that is, but it's almost taken 2 decades to get approvals and to get this construction of this new crossing benefiting Greater Sandton done. So 18 years later, here we are with a bridge across Sandton Drive. It's engineered to be safe, durable, and maintenance-free. It's made up of balustrades, a walkway clad in stainless steel. In the middle or halfway through the bridge, there's a glass central covered viewing deck, which gives you a chance to view the bustling Sandton surroundings, as well as some spectacular sunsets. And the bridge will be open to the public from Sandton City during the day, with limited controlled access at night. And on the east side of the road, it will be accessible from the Place's balcony, which is nearest to Rivonia Road, leading pedestrians safely across the street, and on Sandton City's upper parking deck, as I mentioned, near the Woolworths entrance on the west side.
You're listening to the Sandton Times Hour.
Taking us into the second half of the Sandton Times Hour one more time is myself, Alexander Leipner, and if there's anything that sounded good on the show this week but you didn't get the details, make sure to get onto the website www.sandtontimes.co.za and check out the show notes for some further reading, links, breakdowns, and anything else that might be of interest that we spoke about this hour. Also, be sure to check out the social media accounts at Sandton Times and also the WhatsApp line 084 Sandton. That's 084 726 3866. And feel free to send through your voice notes and text messages. And if you get lucky, also keep an eye out for our physical print edition of the Sandton Times. Maybe you have a chance to pick it up, take a selfie, post it online, and tag us. Be nice to see you reading that. Talking about entertainment, it's time to connect one more time with Tat Wolfen in 2025. And Tat, it's a jam-packed review of entertainment in 2025. And I'm going to kick it off with my viewing last week, which was The Nutcracker at Monte Casino. I'm not a ballet person, but I must say it was a great watch. And if you have a chance to see it, I would highly encourage you, take the kids. And if this is anything to go by, they originally had planned a 2-week run, and they've extended it to 4 weeks, which is remarkable.
I think there's a hunger for family entertainment, good, wholesome family entertainment. So I think that's a good thing. But how about me introducing a spoiler for you?
Okay.
And telling you about a movie that's opening this Friday on circuit that is not good, wholesome family entertainment. Okay. In fact, it's horrifying. It's scary. It's really well worth catching, though, but for the big folk. And it's called The Housemaid.
Okay.
As I said, it opens this Friday on the cinema circuit. It stars Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried, who I think look very familiar, actually, and that possibly feeds into the story to some degree as well. I've been told that I'm not allowed to tell you too much about it yet. There's a bit of an embargo on it, but I can tell you that it's a thriller that'll keep your nerves as taut as a violin string. And I was lucky to see it in a preview screening quite some time ago, and it reminded me of the magic of the cinema experience. When you're watching a movie like this and you have the audience around you gasping or laughing or even shrieking together, it just brings something more to the experience.
Amazing.
Because I've said it a million times before, the cinema is the modern day the equivalent of the caveman's campfire, where they'd all sit around the campfire and the caveman would tell you how he killed this monstrous beast, and everyone would be gasping and almost falling into the fire with excitement. And that is our campfire these days, is the cinema experience. So yeah, if you want to enjoy a fun experience with your fellow human beings, but for grown-ups who don't mind a good scare, it's The Housemaid.
Talking about campfires, Fire and Ash Avatar is also coming out, which must be the big one for December.
Well, it's just opened on circuit, yeah. And it's the third of the Avatar series. It's, what we in the industry call critic proof, okay? So it's like, reviewers can say what they want to about it, but it's one of those movies that if you've watched the previous two, and if you're a fan of that genre, you're definitely going to go and see it. Of course, it's directed by James Cameron. And you can say what you want to about Cameron and say that his stories are weak or whatever, but he is a master of 3D. Technically and creatively, he is the world king of 3D. So the way you have to see this movie is either on a new Metro Scene Extreme screen or on IMAX. But you've got to see it in 3D on the huge screens. That's the only way you can see this movie. And it's just, Cameron immerses you in this world of his, which is just gobsmacking.
Fantastic.
Well, let me tell you about something that has opened that's on a sort of a Christmassy theme, and that is Christmas Karma, which was directed by Gurinder Chadha, who I had the privilege to interview some years ago. She made movies such as Bend It Like Beckham and The Viceroy's House.
Okay.
And this one's loosely based upon Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol, but it wasn't previewed to media, which makes me worry about the confidence of the distributors in the movie. And I know it hasn't done very well on circuit. But, guys, if you're distributing a movie, you need to get the word out there. You can't just throw it at the cinemas and hope that someone will go and see it.
Hopefully in 2026, we'll see more interaction by the distributors, giving us a bit more leeway and a heads up on some of these new movies.
Yes, absolutely. Talking about Dickens's Christmas Carol, there have been so many plays and TV shows and radio shows and movies based upon A Christmas Carol. And I have actually mentioned 3 of those movies in my very special list of 20 Christmas movies that you will find on our website on sandtontimes.co.za. I've picked 20 Christmas movies, and 3 of those are based upon Dickens's Christmas Carol. And these are all movies that you can either stream online, rent online, or even rent in physical disc form. And it's all laid out nicely for you there on that list.
Fantastic.
And you can look down the columns and see where it is that you can get hold of this movie. That's also, I was saying earlier, families are hungry for family stuff that they can do with the kids. Because, if you're not going to do that kind of stuff this time of the year, when is the most appropriate time for families to gather?
Well, that's a great resource to check out. And then finally, we need to have a look at some of our entertainment highlights for 2025. And I'm going to let you pick your top 3 highlights for this year.
My top 3 highlights, that is a bit tough. But I can tell you that the Dumb Waiter, which was at Theatre on the Square, was really impressive. I've always been a fan of Harold Pinter's, and I was a bit nervous going in. I thought, are they going to pull this off? Because it was directed by a first-time director, but it was a truly brilliant production. So that was one of my big ticks for the year. There were some underrated gems for me. The movie Sketch, which was about a father whose wife had passed away, who's in denial about it with his kids. He doesn't really want to go there, but kids need to go there because it's suddenly a big hole in their lives. And he learns throughout this process in the movie, which I can't go through because time is against us, but he learns that children need to be able to engage and talk about these things. Beautiful drama called Sketch.
Okay.
And also Dear Evan Hansen, which didn't get enough credit at the theatre box office. That was on at the Teatro. Stunning production, play that was recently on Broadway, but South African audiences just didn't connect with it for some reason. Very sad.
And then your last one?
And of course, Alan Committee playing Hercule Poirot in Agatha Christie's Black Coffee at the Tureen Theatre was just good old-fashioned traditional theatrical fun.
Yeah, it was great. No, I must say, I also thoroughly enjoyed that one. Yeah.
And I bumped into you at My Fair Lady. I mean, that was also a stunning production, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was actually my top pick, out of my top three. I think My Fair Lady was absolutely brilliant. I think they did an exceptional job with it. And I think it really set the tone for the year because it started off early in the year for everything else that was to come. I mean, we ended up seeing Chicago. We saw Jonathan Rocksmith do a fantastic Broadway show. And I think it just really put a lot of confidence into theatre-going audiences for the year. And I'm sure that 2026 is going to see some equally great productions coming into South Africa with South African cast and all the supporting members of the cast that make part of it, the lighting, the sound, the directors, the makeup, all of that. So that was great.
Well, I just wanted to say there as well that the set for My Fair Lady gave me confidence in South African theatre again, because I thought, everything's going minimal and everything's going lower budget, but it looked like grand old theatre, almost operatic. And that also gave me a huge amount of confidence in what's to come.
For sure. On the movie side, F1, I think, stands out for me as one of those movies that define 2025. I think that blend of Formula One fans, but now also taking it to Hollywood. I think initially there was a lot of anxiety to see if this was going to be just another title that was going to rest on the fact that F1 is a popular property in terms of sport. But I think they pulled it off as a movie, a stellar cast, a stellar list of names that were involved, from the music to the directing to the producing, and I think they pulled it off, and that really did stand out. And then my third one is a live performance that I saw at the Royal Albert Hall this year of The Cause. And why I mention it is because I know that The Cause eventually did come to South Africa this year as well. They performed in Pretoria, and I believe their performance was as spectacular as it was in London, and I think one of the best bands to come out of Ireland, and certainly one of the most legendary bands, in my opinion. One of my favorites. I actually ended up buying their vinyl of their album, which I'll be enjoying over December break. And talking about live performances as well, and I just thought of it now, is another one that I saw actually on the Norwegian Aqua, which was the ship that launched this year in Southampton, a tribute to Fleetwood Mac's Rumours album, which was also just one of those performances that'll probably be with me for a very, very long time. And those are my top picks.
Isn't that a wonderful way to close the year off?
It is. It is, Tat. It is indeed.
Have a good Christmas.
Tat, you too. Have a great break, a good holiday, and a good start to 2026. And we're going to do it all again come January with more great entertainment, great movies, great shows. And I'm really excited to see what we're going to get to experience and watch in the new year.
You're listening to the Sandton Times Hour.
And what a year it has been on the Sandton Times Hour. From incredible entertainment, both locally and internationally, to openings, revamps, festivities, events, and launches. We've traveled extensively, taking you to the maiden voyage of the Norwegian Aqua, to concerts in London, Belgium waffles in Bruges, palace hopping in Paris, chocolate fountains in Switzerland, hiking in Germany, sailing in the Seychelles, and of course some wonderful experiences in Cape Town, right down the road, as well as must-visit weekend escapes to the bush. On the motoring front, it has been a year of numerous new car launches and test drives, especially from China, and tech has seen equally as exciting launches in the mobile space this year. I've had the pleasure of moderating and emceeing numerous international events and conferences, and making the odd appearance on television too. The Sandton Times Hour found a new home on FM, as well as marking its 5th anniversary with a win at the Telkom Radio Awards for the best talk show in the community category. And now we round off the year with our very first print edition, with more exciting developments to come in the new year. I hope you've had as much fun being part of this weekly hour as I have, full of insights and conversations, and I look forward to being part of your routine listening next year again. And with that, the 2025 show comes to a close. Let's do it all again and more in 2026. Feel free to send through your questions or comments and email editor@sandtontimes.co.za. Connect on social media @Sandton Times and hop onto the website sandtontimes.co.za and save the WhatsApp number 084 Sandton. That's 084726 3866, and feel free to send through your voice notes, text messages, and media. As always, make sure to subscribe to the podcast and join the growing community, whichever podcast platform you prefer. Thank you to all our guests who've made time to be on the show this year, and thank you to the team behind the scenes who've made it all happen over the last 10 months. It's hugely appreciated. Take a break. You deserve it. Special thank you to you for listening, and God willing, we'll do it all again next year.
That's it for this week. Thanks for listening to the Sandton Times Hour. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to share it.